Hello and welcome back to SciTech. This right here is an Adeept Robotic Arm. In this video, I'm going to do an unboxing and show you how to build this robotic arm. Let's get started. I have right here this box that contains this kit. So now let's go ahead and open it up and see what's inside. Okay, so now let's open it up. Ah, how nice. They give you a little greetings card. Cool. So now let's go ahead and see what the box contains. And these are the items that you're going to need to make this robotic arm. Next, let's take a look what's inside of this box. Ah, it's a servo controller board connected to their version of an Arduino. Very nice. And it has 4 potentiometers. How interesting. Let's go ahead and pull it apart and see how it looks. As you can see, the Adeept version of an Arduino Uno. Looks like everything is connected just fine. Looks like a good solid board. And I can see right here on the servo controller board, there's some slight imperfections, but mostly that's just solder paste. Mostly that's just solder flux that's on the board. So everything is connected correctly, it just looks a little messy, that's all. But otherwise it looks like it works. And the Arduino version of their board looks perfectly fine. Very clean and very nice looking. Okay, and to find the instruction manual, you just simply go onto their website and look for the instruction manual, or Google it, and you'll be able to find their step-by-step instructions on how to make this robot. You can either follow the instructions off from using your phone to make the robot, or just simply watch this video to see step-by-step on how I built the robot. And another way to find the instructions for this robotic arm is simply by Googling it, by putting Adeept Robotic Arm instructions. Scroll down, and you'll find this link right here, which will then take you to their main website. Scroll all the way down, and click on Download Tutorial, and it will give you a PDF that you can download and open to be able to make the robotic arm. That's how I did it on my phone. Now enough of that, let's get started building this robot. I have right here this touch button sensor, and I'm going to go ahead and connect these wires to it, and I'm going to connect the wires to this OLED display. Next, you're going to need this baseboard and these suction cups that you're going to need to attach to this board. But first, let's remove the paper that's off from the acrylic that was protected from the laser cutting. Very shiny and clean and new looking. I like this. So next step is you're going to need to take the suction cups and put them onto those corner holes just like this. And then take these nuts and screw them in. Do that with all 4 and it should look just like this. Next, you're going to need 2 M24 screws and 2 M26 standoffs. There we go, just like that. And you're going to need to place them into these 2 holes right here. Put the screw through the bottom and screw it into place, just like this. Tighten it, just like that, and there. That step is done. Next, you need to take your touch button, and you're going to need 2 of these M2 screws. Connect them to these 2 standoffs. Screw it in just like this. And there we go, should look just like this. Although that doesn't look too good, but it's kind of strange how it's designed like that. But I guess it makes sense because if you were to push on it, it could snap it. At least that bolt there kind of holds it in. I'm going to loosen these screws just a little bit so that way I don't risk breaking it. It's kind of weird how it's set up like that, but it kind of does make sense, but yet not really. Next, you're going to need 4 M2 screws and 4 M2 6 standoffs. And you're going to need to connect them to these 4 holes right here, which will be for the OLED. Put the screw in just like that, and take your standoff and turn it just like this. And there we go, should look just like this. Next, you're going to need to take your OLED and connect it with these 4 M2 screws. Take the wires and tuck them through the hole. There we go, just like this. And there we go, just like that. And now I've discovered another problem. These wires are too stiff and too big, and they're not really orientated properly, so I can't put the OLED in just right. So what I need to do is really bend these wires, so that way they can be able to fit into place better. Shouldn't have to do that, because it can risk damaging the wires. But I have no other choice. So there we go, screw it into place, just like that. And there, your OLED is now placed into place. Next, I'm going to take this battery pack, and I'm going to connect 2 of these screws and 2 of these nuts, which is the M3 nut and the M3 tin screw. Put both of them right there, just like that. Put my battery pack right there. Drop the screws into place. Hold them down. Put them through the holes, and then take these nuts and screw them into place. There we go, just like that. Make sure they're good and tight, and there, should look just like this. Next, I'm going to need 4 of these M3 screws and 4 of these M3 6 standoffs. And I'm going to place it on these 4 holes right here. Put the screw in first, and then screw in the standoff. There we go, just like that. And there, it should look just like this. Next, I'm going to take my Arduino replica and place them over those standoffs, just like that. And I'm going to screw it into place with these 4 M3 screws. There we go, just like that. All 4 screws into place, and it's holding the Arduino replica just like that. Next, I'm going to take my servo controller board and place it on top just like that. There we go, now it's back into place. Next, I'm going to need 4 of these M3 8 screws and 4 of these M3 30 nylon standoffs. Place them in the holes just like this. screw it into place. But be careful, not too tight, otherwise you'll snap your nylon stand off. And there we go, should look just like this. Next I'm going to take these two positive and negative wires from the battery pack and I'm going to connect it to the servo controller board and connect the red wire to VCC and the black wire to ground, just like this. Next I'm going to take these 5 servos and connect them to the servo controller board. I have all 5 of these servos, but the 6th one, what is that for? I just have an extra one that doesn't do anything. So I guess I have an extra servo. That's a good thing. And this robot seems to use only 5 servos. Very interesting. Next, I'm going to connect the servos to the servo controller board. Yellow represents the signal, red represents the positive, black represents the negative. Brown is negative, red is positive, orange is the signal. And connect them from servo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is not needed. And there we go, should look just like this. Next, I'm going to need 1 M2 tin screw and 1 M2 nut. And I'm going to need these 2 pieces right here. First, I want to connect the servo to this plate right here, just like this. And then take this plate and put it over the servo, just like this. And I'm going to take the M2 nut and my screw, and I'm going to put the screw through the first hole, just like this. Make sure it's aligned. There we go, screws in just like that. And take the nut and screw it into place. Just like that. Next, I'm going to need 4 M3/8 screws, and that's going to connect this plate onto these nylon standoffs. Orientate it just like this, and screw the screws into place just like that. Next, I'm going to take these 3 pieces and connect them just like this, and this will allow the robot to rotate. I'm going to place it on here just like that. And there we go, should be able to rotate easily just like that. Next, we're going to need to assemble these pieces together. Next, we're going to connect these 2 pieces together first, and this piece here connects to the servo, and I need to make sure this part is pointing upwards. Align those holes together just like that. And what you're going to need to do is take these screws and screw the screws into place. And these screws are found inside of the servo bags. There we go, should look just like this. Next, you're going to need to connect these 2 servo pieces to this acrylic piece. Make sure the servo heads are pointing up like this. Align it just like that. Take the screw that is found inside the servo bag and place it just like that. Now I found an easier way to do it is by first screwing in the screw into the servo piece to create like a pilot hole. So then that way it becomes a little bit easier. There we go, now it's ready to screw back in. So now place it together just like that. Align it. And then take your screw and screw it in. Doing it like this will make it a lot easier. There we go, it should look just like this. Now repeat the same process on the other side. And there you have it, it should look just like this. Next, you're going to take Servo 2 and connect this plastic piece on top. Just like this. And then take this piece and connect it on there just like that. Take the same screw and the same nut that connects the servos together, just like you did on the first servo. Put the screw through the hole just like this. And now place the servo in just like that. I find it's easier to do it like this. Take the nut and screw it into place. There we go, just like that. And there, it should look just like this. Next, you're going to need this M2.5 screw and place it through to connect the servo onto the servo arm. Just like that. And make sure it's perfectly aligned, so that way the robotic arm is perfectly straight. It should look just like that. Now take that screw, take that M2.5 screw and screw it into place just like that. There. Next, you're going to take your third servo and connect the M2 screw and the M2 nut together. Same thing as before, but with this piece, screw it into place just like the other one. There we go. Make sure it's perfectly aligned just like that. And then take the M and make sure it's perfectly straight, and it should look just like this. Now take your M2.5 screw and screw the servo into place. There, it should look just like that. Next, you're going to take your M3 nut and your M3 screw, and that's going to go right here on this little piece right here. And you're going to need to use it to connect these two pieces together. Slip the nut in, just like that. Hold it into place. Slip it through, just like that. And then take the screw and screw it in. The orientation of the nut should be the pointy ends that are touching your two fingers. And that way you can make sure it fits. And the flat ends go into the flat parts in the inside. And there we go, screw it in tight, and that way it holds everything into place. Now we're going to work on this piece here. Next, we're going to connect these three plastic pieces together. This part's very easy. All you need to do is take your screw, slip it through just like that, then take your nut and screw it in. But remember, don't screw it in all the way, screw it in partly, so then that way those three plastic pieces can move, and it should move just like this. Too tight, it'll be stiff. A little bit loose will allow it to just move smoothly like that. Too loose will cause it to wobble. You want it to look just like this. Next, you're going to need the M3 screw and the M3 nut, and repeat the same process as you did right here. Take it and connect it just like this. Screw it into place tightly, and there, it should look just like this. Next, we're going to take this piece here and connect it to Servo 1. As you can see, that servo connector. We're going to take the servo screw and drop it through the hole. And make sure it's aligned, and this arm is aligned and parallel with the side of the board, just like that. Screw it in, just like this. There we go, and now the robotic arm is attached, and it should be able to rotate freely, just like this. Perfect, and there, now you've orientated it correctly. Next, you're going to need 2 M3 screws and 2 M3 nuts. Connect them on both ends, just like this. And there we go, you connect it over just like that. Screw it in, And there, it should look just like this. Next, you're going to need to take your M318 screw and your M3 nut, connect it together, and this will hold your pin into this piece. I took a measurement of 6 centimeters to connect the robotic arm to the pin to the paper, so that way the robotic arm can write on the piece of paper properly. And there you have it, it should look just like this. And if you wanted, you can use this piece for thicker pins. And there you have it, the robotic arm is now complete, but I want a robotic arm of a claw, so I need to go a few more steps further. And these are the pieces that you're going to need to create the robotic claw. First, I'm going to take this piece here, and put the screw through this big hole right here, just like that. Put the standoff in, just like this. Tighten it, and it should look just like that. Next, I'm going to take this acrylic piece and put it over the servo, just like that. And then take this acrylic piece and put it over it, just like that. And there we go, put the same screws as I've been using before, and slip it through just like that, and the same nuts as well. And there you go, it should look just like this. Next, let's assemble the servo claw. I'm going to take the servo arm and place it over the claw just like this, where this point is pointing up, and then take the screw and screw it into place. And there you have it, it should look just like that. Next, I want to connect these claw joints into place. And there we go, it should look just like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the M2.5 screw and connect the claw joint and to the servo. There we go, just like this. There we go, make it tight but not too tight. And now let's go ahead and test it out. Ah, it opens perfectly. Good. Next, you're going to need to connect your servo to these pieces here. First, put this piece on top. Attach the 2 screws and nut, but be very careful. Do not tighten it too tight. If you do, this will happen. As you can see, I made it too tight and I caused it to crack, so I've put super glue to reinforce it. So just be careful. Next, I'm going to take this piece right here and put this servo arm on just like this. I already made pilot holes, so screwing it in should be easy. Align it in just like this. And there, it should look just like that. And then you need to put it on top of this servo and make sure it's perfectly parallel to the side or to the top. Put in this screw here and screw it into the servo to hold it into place. And as you can see, this part broke too, so I'm going to need to add more super glue and reinforce it. There. Next, you're going to need these pieces, which will connect to the servo. You're going to need to connect the nylon thread with the screws and connect those 2 acrylic pieces together. Screw it in just like that. And there we go. First, attach your servo and put it in just like this. Then you take this part of the servo and connect it in just like this. There, now both of your servos are now connected to be able to create the claw. But let's put the final piece in first. Just like that. Screw it in. And there you have it, your claw is now complete. Next, I'll take my final nylon standoff with the screw, and I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the robotic arm. Both those pieces right there are the side pieces, and are going to go in just like this. Connecting to the side. And then take the other part of the robotic arm and connect it to the other side. And there we go, connect the nylon threading, just to keep it spaced and add extra support to make it more rigid, and to hold it into place as well. Attach this nylon standoff to be able to hold the two pieces together, to hold the servo claw in. Put the nylon standoff and put screws on both sides to hold the claw into place to the robotic arm. And there we go, it should look just like this. Next, I'm going to need to take this touch button and this OLED and connect it to the servo controller board. First, I'm going to go ahead and bring these wires over and connect them over. But here's another issue. I've noticed that it can't reach. So I'm going to have to unscrew everything and pull the wires back out. Another design flaw I discovered with this project. So tucking the wires underneath is not practical. So what you need to do is you need to take the wires out. Unscrew everything and pull the wires back out. Now it should look just like this, where you can see this yellow one is connected to TX, ground, connected to ground right there, and then red wire connected to 5 volts, which is right there. It should look just like that. Okay, so now we're going to have the OLED connected to these parts right here. So we first start with the black wire. You would think it goes to ground, but they have it where it goes to VCC instead, which, as you can see right here, it's VCC. And if you look carefully, you can see the black wire is connected to the VCC. Basically, you can copy off on what it shows here, but that's confusing. Why would they make black VCC when it should be red? And then they make red ground. That's very confusing. Why would they do that? Oh well. Anyways, just follow the wires. Wires are wires. Color doesn't matter, so you just have to follow which way it goes. 5 volts. VCC, which is 5 volts right there. Connect that to 5 volts. Actually, the ground. So take the red wire and connect that to ground, which is right here. I'm going to take yellow wire and connect that over to here, which is A5, which is located right here. A5, which is connected at the very end. Then we take the green wire, connect that to A4, which is right here next to it, just like that. And it should look just like this. There you have it. Your robot is now complete. Now, I'm going to have to use the provided cable, but in my opinion this provided cable is a little too short, so I have my own. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in and test it out. I'm going to go ahead and plug in my cable and test it to see what happens. Oh. Okay, so okay, that's kind of weird for it to do that. What happens if I do this? Okay, it's trembling. Why is it trembling? Okay, so the touchpad seems to not be doing anything. And let's go ahead and take a closer look at this OLED. You see the OLED is on, and it works. I'm going to have to look at the instructions more deeper to figure this out. Alright, this right here, I have these controls, so maybe if I tweak these, it might move. So let me just see what happens. Okay, it seems like it has a mind of its own. I'm gonna have to look up the programming and see if I can code this to act differently. Okay, so now in conclusion, I figured out how to get this to work. I've noticed that the reason why there's this battery source right here, I noticed why there's this battery pack here is because this is very interesting. I don't know why it worked like that, but it does. Sort of makes sense too. But this battery pack here, I've unplugged as you can see, and I've plugged in my lab bench power supply since I don't have these batteries. But like what I was saying, is that this battery pack separately connects to this board, to this servo driver board, and that's to allow it to power this robotic arm. Not through the Arduino like I thought, because if I connect the power cable to the Arduino, which then I would assume power the Arduino and power this servo driver board at the same time, but it doesn't. You have to power it separately, because this battery pack here powers this board, and it powers only the ATmega328 microcontroller, just to use the code to be able to power this robotic arm and to be able to use these potentiometers. Now, what I've noticed is that it works by doing that, but it doesn't work as well as you would expect, because the reason why is that I've noticed something kind of strange. This robot uses 5 servos. There's one here, 2, 3, 4, 5. It uses 5 servos, but yet there's only 4 potentiometers. So I find that kind of weird, which makes me assume that this will only work with just this pin touch method, which means it eliminates the 5th servo, and it uses just the 4 servos instead. Okay, so doing that, and you can be able to control it with these 4 servos. Okay, that's how it will work. So this claw is completely useless. In fact, it actually just opens and closes spontaneously. It's like it has this mind of its own. And you're only able to control this motor, you're only able to control this servo, this servo, this servo, and this servo with just these 4 potentiometers. This 5th one kind of disappears. Sort of has a mind of its own where it just opens and closes in random times. So I find that kind of strange. Now, another thing is that I went onto their site to be able to put in different codes to use the different features, like this pin feature and move the robotic arm in different positions so it can store the memory and program it, the learning method to be able for the robotic arm to learn the positions. That actually doesn't really work. None of these codes on that site that I've tried actually works. And I've noticed when I did that, this touchpad and the OLED, well, the touchpad, the LED turns on, but you touch the pad and it does nothing. And the OLED display actually just disappears. The OLED disappears, it just doesn't turn on. As soon as I put in the code from their site to be able to try the other features, that does not turn on. And when I try the codes to test other features for this robotic arm, because that's what it's for, doesn't work. So in conclusion, this turns out to be very disappointing. I'm actually very disappointed. I was hoping I could be able to do cool stuff by turning these potentiometers and doing other things with it, but it doesn't work. So what I've done, and I will demonstrate how it works, is that I've actually put my own code that I've used in a previous video to show how to use 6 potentiometers to control 6 servos. Well, in this case, it's only 4 servos. Same code still applies, even though you just have 4 servos, so you could put in a code with 6 servos, you're just missing the 2, and the code will only power these 4. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate it by me plugging it into my lab bench power supply, which I have right here. I'll go ahead and turn it on. It's already set at the proper voltage. And now I'm going to go ahead and test it out. So I'm going to go ahead and use the screwdriver to be able to turn the servos. And as you can see, it works. Using my code, it works. Except this has a little too much tension because of the way the wires are positioned. So if I did this and give this more slack, it'll turn. Okay, that servo works. Try the other one. And then try this one. And then try this one. And of course, I can't control that one because there's only 4 potentiometers. If they put a 5th potentiometer, then I'll be able to control that servo, but I can't. So I can only control this one, this one, this one, and this one. That's it. Oh, and one more thing I want to add. Well, I mean, at least I got this, and I got some extra parts. So I got these servo headers, and an extra servo. So, that's kind of funny. 4 potentiometers that only controls 4 servos, not the 5th one, and yet they give you an extra servo. So you have 6 servos that can't be controlled by any of these potentiometers, except for just 4 of them. So at least out of this project, I got the body, the hardware, servos, battery pack that might be useful, the OLED that's probably useful for something, touchpad that could be useful for something, and an extra servo. So yeah, okay, and little tools and I can use. So in a way it's a loss, but yet kind of a profit. I mean, at least I got useful extra parts. So at least I have that, which is a good thing. So there you have it. Thank you for watching SciTi Tech. I hope you learned something new, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course click on the bell icon to be notified for future SciTi Tech videos. Till the next tech. Goodbye.